Alabama 35601. Harmon, do you know anything about that one?
No, it's the location on Moulton Street. It's right across from where I don't know of anything other than it may be a transfer, but that's not likely.
No, I think it's rented now.
He's been there a while.
Yeah.
No, I know what it is. He's having a special event for less than 30 days. That's what it is.
Okay. Maybe we'll get that. Resolution 25097, authorize mayor to approve Enterprise Fleet Management Incorporated lease agreement sale of city-owned vehicles.
Good evening, council. As you're aware, Grant Powell from Enterprise Fleet Management came and presented the plan for the city on May the 12th work session for non-public safety vehicles. This item was tabled from the May 19th meeting and moved to this agenda. Neither Grant or Kyle could be here tonight, but I was brought up to speed on Friday. He said that he'd not received any questions from council, so I don't really have anything new to add. There wasn't any change in the agreement or the proposal, excuse me. The city budget for the vehicles is $500,000 in the general fund this year, all of which I show is still available.
I'll just say that I did, and I think he reached out to Al, but I did speak with Keith Layton, who does their fleet management and sales, whatever, always not sales, but their lease program, and he actually said that he had shared with you, Kyle, that he actually could not get the information to give us a clear decision, and maybe you can expound on that, and maybe it's different than what he shared with me.
Yeah.
But he just simply said that that they could not give us a definitive answer as to whether it was a good program or not a good program, and he had a copy of our contract, and he also had a copy of the presentation that was given to us. So he just said that he needed more time, and of course I don't have the background to break it down and say whether it's a good deal for us or a bad deal. So I just, again, I know we've tabled it, but I would like someone with expertise greater than mine, at least, to be able to tell us if this is a good deal or not. Of course, I would prefer to buy local. I understand the lease program can be beneficial at times. We've done that in the past with previous councils, but it's just, I'm not certain about this now. Just to clear the goods.
Will you remind me, is it 30 in the pilot, or how many vehicles were there? Was it a third of the non-public safety?
I'm sorry, I do not have that information.
It was like a third. I think that's right.
So I think that even when we look at certain parts like community development, you guys have 8 vehicles now. Is that not right, Alan? And you're going to go from 8 vehicles to 5 vehicles. Is that accurate? And I had no real explanation for that. So.
Yeah, I believe, is my understanding, it was just based on analysis of the miles per day and the amount of the vehicles, the amount that the vehicles were actually being driven and what could be done with fewer vehicles.
Because you have less vehicles, newer vehicles, pretty much all. But I did have a short conversation with Keith. He had looked at it, he said the Enterprise buys vehicles from them. But I talked to a couple of different companies, private companies that use Enterprise. They've found it to be a really good program. They're doing the same thing to buyback, essentially that's in here, and they've enjoyed it. Says it's worked out great from a management standpoint of your new vehicles, maintenance, and turnaround.
And I guess my concern is here simply that, again, is it a good deal for us? And it might be for some people, it might not be for us. And I would rather put it in the hands of someone who has more expertise in it than I do now. He did share with you that he couldn't have an answer at this. And I took it to him right after the last meeting.
Yeah, I think that I was up there sometime last week.
Yeah, I think I took it to him Tuesday after we met on Monday, and we had postponed it or tabled it. And so it's not like we took it to him yesterday. So, I don't have an answer for that right now, and I'm not willing to go into something where it might be beneficial to us and it might be harmful to us, or not as beneficial to us as what we have right now. So that's kind of where I am, because I did not get the clear answer that I expected to get as to whether it was a good deal or
Okay.
So that's kind of where
Any other questions? All right, resolution 25102, designation of investment interest in ARPA fund for Sportsplex.
Okay, this was our ARPA money. According to the final rule relating to these funds, the interest earned on these proceeds is not subject to the same restrictions as the ARPA funds themselves. So we need to purpose the revenue source for something, and this will designate the interest earned and any future interest earned on these funds invested in our bank account to the Sportsplex project. It's just basically a government, it's an accounting thing. we
But it's
need to do.
specific, it's, the principal was for the Sportsplex.
Well, not just it's all the principal. It's all the interest that was earned on the ARPA money that the city received. And so we're recommending that we just take the interest and designate it, right? Right.
All right, any
That was
questions?
what, 9 or 13 million in ARPA? Somewhere between there.
12 something. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it's earned about $1 million in interest.
How much?
$1 million to date.
Better spend that before Doge,
Yeah.
right, Alan? Resolution, sorry, any other questions on that? Resolution 25103, approved community service contract with Delano Park Conservancy.
This is a mid-year appropriation for the Delano Park Conservancy in the amount of $25,000 to come from general fund unassigned.
Any questions? We have some representatives here to answer any. All right, resolution 25104, approved sponsorship of Dia de los Muertos event.
Right, the Dia de los Muertos event will be held in the fall. This is just a $5,000 sponsorship for the Downtown Decatur Merchants and Business Association. We just go ahead and disperse this before the end of the year so they can start their preparations ahead of time.
Any questions? Resolution 25105, award bid 25025 to Thrive Outdoor for city cemetery mowing, being the lowest responsible bidder.
Jeremy Sherrill Procurement. This is an annual contract renewal. It was held by Thrive. We were actually awarded it just about a year ago, Thrive Outdoor. We did not terminate that contract. They just had an option to renew as the state allows, and they chose not to renew. And so we went back out to bid, and they bid again, and we're recommending them as the lowest responsible bidder.
Is somebody from the beautification department going to be here at the meeting?
I can't say, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I've received several complaints regarding Thrive Outdoor in several different neighborhoods within my district, and I'm hoping that somebody can come in, even though I know that this is not that specific contract. If we're going to continue getting complaints, I would request that the council consider going with somebody different, even though they are the lowest responsible bidder. So I've attempted to address the complaints with Thrive Outdoor and have received no feedback whatsoever.
I would recommend addressing that with Daniel or whoever's managing the contract, and he typically pretty quick on getting a result there. Any other questions? All right, resolution 25106, approval for custom POS system for each Point Mallard Park. Steph?
Good evening. Okay, so Point Mallard Park is in need of a new point of sale system. So at this time, we're running some different programmings through some different people for our point of sale system. The campground has an operating system that as of now has no support. So should that system fail or crash, we would have to go back to managing 217 sites at this time with handwritten notes or Excel spreadsheets. At Point Mallard Park, Water Park, there are some things that we are wanting to offer to our guests that we have not been able to. For example, you can't buy a daily pass or a daily admission ticket online and pick your certain days that you want to be there. So you can't load money to your armband online. All of those things you actually have to come to the park and do. You can't book a tee time for the golf course, and you can't make a reservation online. You have to do that by calling and speaking to a team member, and even with that, you can't do that unless it's within regular business hours. So if you decided at 8 p.m. that you and a couple of buddies wanted to go play golf, you have to wait until the next morning if it's after hours to be able to do that. Also, it's a labor issue that if we're having a really rainy day, Instead of me being able to send everybody home, I'm having to keep somebody at the office just to man those phone calls and rearrange some of those things. Our current system doesn't give us any information about where our guests are coming from. So that's kind of been a concern or an issue as far as to know where we're trying to drive the traffic with our marketing budget. We don't offer payment options for water park passes, for golf passes, annual passes, or anything like that, such as we could split it up maybe to 3 or 4 easy payments. And, you know, for a lot of us who don't have the money to pay all that out at one time, that's a great feature that we could offer our community as far as breaking those things down. So about 3 years ago, we started looking for a company. We have been to conventions, we have been online, we have done all the things looking for a company to help us out with this. Some of the major issues are some of the companies are not very cost effective. We were running into them pricing us things for over $1.5 million. Well, we know that's not feasible for what we can afford and be able to offer those services. So we looked, our IS department looked. One company may offer online things, but maybe not an overnight stay. So what we're looking for is we can look at one dashboard, we can manage our business, we can do all the things. So when all of that happened, we, as partnering with Lightwire, in true Lightwire fashion, they actually said, I know a guy. So that would be Dharmesh, and he's going to kind of talk through some of the things that he's offering to build for us in a custom design. To be completely transparent on all of this, we're asking for the funding for this for the first year, and I know that you all received the packet where it kind of breaks down everything. So in the first year, where we want to work on campground, because that's a definite need, and also golf course, just for the convenience piece of it and things like that. There is a cost associated with that. That cost has already been budgeted through the IS department, and that cost originally in the budget amount was budgeted for $60,000 for Park and Rec and $60,000 for Point Mallard to be an app service. That was something our prior director really wanted us to do. The issue with that is until we have those POS systems in place, there's really not a need to have an app. You can't put the cart before the horse. So we're asking that that money be shifted over so it wouldn't be an additional funding for this year. It would just be a transferring to this project versus the original project. Currently with Center Edge, we also pay an amount of about $13,000 for yearly support, and we're paying that for very subpar customer service and support. So to be completely transparent in this, that would be the breakdown of what's being used into what years. And then there would also be up to a 20% of that initial amount as far as a yearly support. And I'll let Dharmesh talk about some more of that. Sir.
Hello, sir. So yeah, like Stephanie mentioned, we got engaged into building digital services for City of Decatur. There are various problems. I don't want to just reiterate what she just put it together, but the data is desperate. It lies in different systems. If something goes wrong, there is not a support, or everything goes into manual. So my vision, where I'm trying to put it across, is we're going to build a cloud-based system. We're going to build a customer relationship management system. We're going to build a POS system that's all of the cloud. The important essence is not just capturing the transaction, but how do you roll it up to a financial transaction at a city level? Also, how do we understand what are the services that customers are interested, what they are calling for, and what as a city we can provide, where we can reach out to these customers and provide additional services. So we are building something off of it. And some little bit about myself. I've built this system for Hibbett Sporting Goods. I used to work as a consultant for them for last 10, 12 years. I built not just POS system, but various planning system, merchandising system, warehouse system, transport management system. So that's where my background is. But what I'm trying to actually present it to the City of Decatur is Digital Destiny, where city can do a lot of stuff using state-of-art technology.
Is any of it off the shelf already been developed, or are you literally from ground floor?
Bingo. Glad you asked that question. So what we are not going to do anything ground up. It's
Because I was not gonna vote.
oh, absolutely, sir. If somebody's doing, I would have said that's not the route. So what we're going to do is, that's what I said, it's a digital destiny in our hand. I don't want to go to a product company and say, Oracle, you give it to us, and then you're totally tied with Oracle or any other companies out there. But what we're going to do is we're going to use an open source that has everything built in, and then work with Stephanie and her team to modify things what we need. So that's our strategy, that's our plan.
So how fast can that be implemented?
So I'm trying to be very aggressive, and I don't want to just put it out there, something that I personally would not be able to stick my neck on. But I think it's a
Typical programmer.
Yeah, exactly. but I actually see the first site to be, at least we have something that we can beta test it in first 6 months.
Sometimes these projects get really long and really expensive.
Exactly.
And we need to be careful. But it sounds like you can't find a canned product.
Right.
That's gonna work.
Stephanie
Right.
also mentioned lackluster support with what we currently have. What type of support do you guys offer? Is it 24/7? Like, what if something goes down?
Absolutely, sir. So once we have it, I talked to Nicole and Stephanie. We'll put together a structured plan in place, but we do offer 24/7. That's our plan. That's our goal. Also, the goal is not just somebody talking to somebody and getting a help, not those kind of scenarios. We're going to have some kind of a chatbot and AI-based tools where we can help people just not being, while we are not there, or at least the first level support is all automated. But that's the structure I plan to put it together.
What's the cost associated with the 24/7 if you get called out or if you have?
So I think that's what Steph mentioned. We are budgeting it for 20% of our original thing on the support side on supporting this application.
So again, I'm sorry.
So it's about 20% of our initial cost. We are expecting it, we are budgeting it for the support annually. Yeah.
Of the 120,000?
Yeah.
Yes, and again, we're paying, at this point, we're paying a little over $13,000 for very subpar, as far as, what type of service we have. Now, to our point to that, and one thing that we have talked about, so Dharmesh has gone to every venue at Point Mallard. He has sat down with the people running the whatever business we have going on. We have talked through the things, so he feels pretty confident that he'll be able to do what we need him to do. And he can kind of talk through some of the background and places that he's done in the past as well. So with all of that being said, it would be up to that amount, which is kind of what we talked about. So let's say that the first year we go through everything and we don't require as much, then that cost could be lowered. That would just be the total if we have problems every day, if there was something, it would not exceed that amount of the 20%.
We're still looking at a potential $24,000 in service, which is double.
I think, Mr. Carlton, I think it's not about that much. What I'm planning to do is just from a budgeting perspective, like what Stephanie mentioned. If we are not going to get a call, if we have system which is stable, and it's an industry standard, enterprise applications do have 20%, they put it in support as a budgeting. If we don't use it, we're not going to charge for
I
it.
understand. I think my concern is, I'm okay with that if we're offsetting revenue, more
Right.
than the $12,000 extra.
So some of those things that we just talked about, some of those things we have talked about, yes, it would be better service. It would also be a labor saver. So when you think about having to have someone at those venues,
Absolutely.
that I'm paying labor for somebody to sit there at the golf course to answer the phone when it's pouring down rain, some of that, and I'm not saying it would be the whole, 12,000 or whatever, but it would be that. I also feel like if we had more user-friendly ways to manage our business and to have people to make reservations, tee times, things like that, I do think that would help as far as increasing our traffic in our
Drive
business
more users. So basically, all this ask is moving from one pot to another.
for this year.
For this year.
For this year. Of course, we would have to look at the other 2 years, and again, we've budgeted that, you all approved that in the original budget. It was just for a different application, so we would also be looking and being truly transparent. We would be looking for that for the next 2 years as well.
Is there a sense of urgency? I don't know that I'm ready to
Sure.
vote on this tonight.
I get it, and if we need to move it and table it and let you guys think till the next
2
one.
weeks is gonna not kill us, I wouldn't think.
Well, unless something crashes.
Yeah. We'll have it ready in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Is
so,
there any other systems that you looked at that is similar to this, and how did you find this company?
okay, so that's a great question. So we looked at several different systems. One of the systems which a lot of your amusement parks and things like that, resorts use, it was much more costly. And when I say that, close your ears. When I say that, we were looking at over $1 million, and then they were going to charge us $500,000 for support. Those were a resort type that we have looked at. We also looked at some, but they didn't offer real-time data, and this is something that Dharmesh's company is able to do. So let's say hypothetically it's January 2nd, and we're booking reservations at the campground for Memorial Day. His system and what he's planning is a real-time system. So if somebody is online booking and somebody is in the office booking, whoever makes that payment first and secures that site, then that is in real time. Some of the companies we looked at were not in real time, so we could have double bookings.
It's kind of like if you're ordering something offline and it says that 1,300 people have this in their cart right
Yes,
now.
yes.
And there's only 1,000 products, then,
Correct.
okay.
So that's a big advantage of this. The other part of that is as I stated, most of the hang-up we got was overnight stays, because there's not a lot of systems that we can afford or that were cost-effective for us to do overnight stays. And just so you know, we did reach out to local campgrounds like Coleman, who has a municipal campground for their city, and they're not happy with their service, and they're trying to find somebody to do exactly what we've just talked about.
So in getting this system, in the event something were to go down or something were to happen, would the civilian who's attempting to get a hold or purchase the spot that they're trying to buy, would they get a hold of Point Mallard, and Point Mallard would address the issue with the company, or would the consumer go directly to the individual?
It's us.
They'd go to Point Mallard?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's the same thing that we do with all of our other companies. If there's an issue, they come through us. We use our partners, whether that's our IS department, whether that's our IT, Lightwire department, or Dharmesh's company, they would come through us. So we can actually communicate with them and say, I'm not your tech girl. I'm going to hand you my phone and say it's broke. I don't speak that language. I don't know that. But I can tell him this is what we're hearing from our community and our guests and our patrons, that this is what they want. That's his job to figure out how to make that work.
So the initial cost for there is $120,000.
For 2 weeks. It's broken down.
Moving $120,000.
Budgeted money.
Budget
Yes.
money, okay.
Yes, for the first year.
Is there
Yes.
any other expected expenditures that could occur?
I'm not forcing it, but like what
Not in your
Mr. Jackson.
Not-
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Good. Okay, all right.
I know that's a lot, and like I said, 2 weeks is not going to hurt if
Yeah,
we need
it's
to
not
table
gonna-
this till the
yeah.
next
That's
time.
what my recommendation, then of course I'm one guy, so I don't know.
I would like to see some more stuff on this.
My question will be in the next 2 weeks, just so I don't sit here and say, let's wait 2 weeks and show up in 2 weeks to vote, is I do think we need some type of, it doesn't have to be a specific date, but in some months, I think will be this percentage of the way down. I mean, that
Fair
we
enough.
can reevaluate after year one and make sure we're making the progress that we expect.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
okay,
Yeah.
that'll work.
I can put that together.
Yeah.
And we'll send you all these, with the presentation, since we kind of skipped that and we're trying to make it shorter, we'll send you all these things as well, so y'all can
Yeah,
read through
that's
those.
good. Thanks.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, resolution 25107, approve the purchase of a narcotics K-9, including training, equipment, meals, veterinarian care, to be paid from the drug fund.
Okay, this is to purchase a black lab for narcotics detection purposes. That's its primary thing. Be assigned to the narcotics division to assist them and the rest of the department in locating drugs on search warrants, vehicles, stuff like that. Will also be a tool that we can use for schools and things like that. And it's coming out of the drug fund.
Is it a replacement of the?
We don't have a narcotics dog at this time right now. We retired the last one with Barron, I think it was.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Any questions? All right, resolution 25108, approve agreement for elevator maintenance at Decatur Municipal Parking Deck at Moulton Street and First Avenue.
So this item is for, to enter a 3-year agreement with Schneider Plus for elevator preventive maintenance for the elevator at the parking deck with an annual fee of $4,680.
Okay, any questions?
Is this something that we put out for bid, or is this just something that the city itself is asking for?
I believe it,
It's just something we're asking.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Resolution 25109, AT&T letter of agreement with City of Decatur for Shady Grove at Bunning Lane Southwest and to Amberwood Lane Southwest.
Okay, this item's also, to approve the removal of poles from AT&T for the Bunny Lane project with the estimated cost of $72,230.97, which the funding was actually already approved under the resolution number 23-039.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution 25110, Wisner Modus Road right-of-way acquisition proposal.
This is also another agreement with Wisner LLC to provide appraisals and negotiations and project management for 40 tracks for right-of-way acquisition services for the Modus Road widening project.
Hey, any questions? How long will that take?
40 tracks?
Yeah.
A lot, a couple of years.
Any other questions? All right, resolution 25111, approve OMI second phase consulting work for Kerry Matthews.
Yeah, that's, of course, remember Mr. Ozier came, this is to do the next phase to help us get an architect and get it bid out.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution 25112, MOU to continue SRO program with Decatur City Schools.
We're going to ask you to remove that to give us a little bit more time for others to look at it. And I've talked to, or we did, to White Satterfield today, so we're fine with this, with just laying it.
All right, any questions? Resolution 25113, federal grant application approval to construct Primer Field taxiway for Northwest Hangar Development Phase 3, city as a co-sponsor.
Yeah, that's, of course, for the airport. We're 1/4 of the owner, Limestone County, Morgan County, and Decatur and Athens. This is a grant that the maximum amount from the FAA is $282,000. They will pay 95%, and that's what that represents. We appropriate money each year to the airport, so there's no additional cost to us. And this will allow them to extend some of the runway on that particular hangar.
All right, any questions? All right, we will get started at 6 o'clock. Oh, wait.
Lori made, she's here.
First one, yeah.
Yeah.
Approve request for special retail liquor license, more than 30 days Optimum Entertainment Complex at 211 Moulton Street.
Yeah, this is a venue, and he's met all criteria.
This is for a special event.
Special event more than 30 days.
All right, any questions?
Have we not issued an alcohol license there before?
No, not at this one.
Okay, very good.
All right, any questions? All right, now we'll get started at 6.
Chief?
call the meeting to order. Jeremy Sherrill will lead us in our invocation and pledge.
We bow our heads. Precious Lord, we love you, and we recognize your goodness and your mercy and your hands are at work in us and around us. And we pause to say thank you for that, and please continue to help us. Help us to work together in a spirit of unity, and let us have your grace and your wisdom today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Blackner.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
McMaster.
Here.
Pepper.
Here. I guess before we get started, I did want to recognize newly installed Chief Mack is with us today. I just wanted to recognize you. Thank you for being here and your family as well. We're excited for you to get going. So thanks for being here tonight, and I look forward to working with you. All right, first item on the agenda is agenda-related comments. Sorry. Mr. Faruqi had signed in.
Okay, first concern is the coachable moment mentioned in the work session. Reference HR's misrepresenting, or a police officer misrepresenting his role. Has there been any follow-up on that yet? Simple question, has there been any follow-up on that by anybody?
That is, that falls into the forte of the mayor, and the mayor has said that, I don't.
Well, I'm asking, yeah, Mayor, you could ask.
I'm not going to let you continue on with a saga, so there's no answer needed there.
Okay, well, I think a lot of people would still like to know the answer to that question.
There's no wrongdoing found in the police department regarding that matter.
That's from whom?
That's from a discussion that I had with the officer.
Okay, so has the internal investigation been done yet?
Mr. Fruki, I'm not going to continue with answering your question.
Okay. Thank you for that non-answer. Let me go over a couple other things. Item B on the resolutions, why is there money for road repair going to the sports complex?
Don't really think that's what that is, but
Well, ARPA funds going to the sportplex.
we use some of our ARPA funds for the sportsplex. Is that correct? Yes.
Has that traditionally been the case? Because I didn't see that in the budget earlier this year.
Traditionally, we've not had ARPA funds.
Okay. When did we get the ARPA funds?
2023
COVID?
maybe.
Yeah, COVID
You'd have to go
timeframe.
See when Congress.
So it's not that we haven't had the funds, we haven't figured out how to use them.
No,
My question
they've
is,
been allocated. They actually were required by law to be allocated, and we followed the law.
so rather than use them for road repairs, we're going to use them for the sportplex.
There's road projects.
Where was funding for the sportplex at a prior time? Where was that funding coming from? It wasn't coming from ARPA.
We had, I'd have to go back and look, but maybe we had some from a bond issuance, 3M settlement, and then.
So some of those things aren't coming to fruition, and so now we have a deficit and we're using
You have to
ARPA.
use the funds.
Okay, I got that.
Got it, but go ahead.
Okay, $25K for the Delano Park Conservancy, what's that for?
Maintenance and upkeep of the park.
Okay, it's only for the upkeep of the park.
Well,
Just really whatever.
Conservancy, whatever they use it for, that's been their intent.
Who spoke for the Conservancy and said that was their intent?
Multiple members that I've talked to.
Okay, so has anyone else talked to those members?
Yeah, for years.
Okay. L&L Outdoors is the lowest bidder for the cemetery by $12,000. Why did Thrive get that contract?
Just wait, we can wait. I don't know, but we'll find out before we vote.
Okay. Would that have any bearing on your vote?
If there's a good answer, yeah.
Okay, that'd be interesting to hear. The hardware and software for Point Mallard, there was some discussion, I missed a good part of that. But what's the value added in all that? $240,000 for the campground and apparently the park.
I'm not sure about that cost, but the benefit is to get on what there's not a good system that they've been able to find that's canned that they can buy buy off the shelf, so looking for somebody to do some development with some canned products that have, I think, better customer-facing UI, and some just more efficiencies when it comes to staffing and able to book tea times online, just all kind of things. Right now, we're using multiple POS systems for each part of the plan.
Does anybody ask what's wrong with the current systems?
Yeah, that was what was wrong. It's inefficient, some of it's outdated, and we're using multiple systems.
So for $250,000, we're going to make that efficiency happen? Maybe, right. We've been without a narcotics dog for a number of months.
We'll move on to the rest of the agenda. First on the item is approval of minutes. This is for all three. Excuse me, can you please have a seat? Thank you. All three of these, we have a motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Minutes are approved 5-0. Public hearings, Resolution 25101, approve request for a special retail liquor license more than 30 days by Optimum Entertainment Complex LLC located at 211 Moulton Street West, Carroll, Alabama 35601.
This is a new liquor request for more than 30 days, and they've met all criteria.
I'm sorry. This is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing now. If there's anyone here to speak on this item. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we consider the public hearing closed. So moved. Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Blackman.
Aye.
Aye. Jackson.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25101 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25097, authorize mayor to approve enterprise fleet management lease agreement and sell city-owned vehicles.
Good evening. Yes, this is the Enterprise Fleet Management lease agreement that we had discussed. I did find an answer to your question in the presentation. It was 30 vehicles, mostly trucks. There were 4 sedans and 1 van in there. I think the first year lease payment was $353,000. And Jeremy had something, our purchasing agent had a little something to add about that too.
I would just add for color that this vendor is through a Sourcewell National contract cooperative. So a lot of those expenses, and it may or may not help you feel a little bit better about it, but a lot of these negotiations have taken place on a national scale, and we have access to those costs. So that kind of helps us with the process a little bit.
So moved.
I've had discussions, as I said, in work session with representatives from Lynn Layton. I'm not comfortable with this. I don't know where we are with this. I don't know if this is a really good deal for us. I don't know if it's a bad deal. They couldn't tell us. I think he told Kyle that, I don't want to take his words, but he was speaking with someone within their company who had formerly worked with Enterprise, and they were going to be letting in this week. And so I would make a motion, at least, because nobody can really tell us how this impacts.
Did anyone get a chance to talk to anybody from DeKalb or Coffee County?
One
What was
of the
Coffee's name?
references, yes, that they're small, but it was a positive reference. Yeah. It was a city, though.
I talked to a private company, same thing, positive experience, but
My only thing, and I would vote for it if it came to the floor, did you want to make a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to table it again.
So there's a motion to table on the floor, but I would support it if it was up for a vote. I do think the representative from Enterprise needs to be here to answer anybody's.
And I know he just had a conflict with this particular
Yeah,
date.
I won't fault him, that's fine.
I think more than anything else, even if he's here next week, it gives us time to be able to have a better understanding of exactly what we're dealing with. And like I said, smaller entities, it might impact them differently than it does us, but at this particular point, I'm not comfortable with it. So, I mean, the council, if they choose to move forward with it, they can, but at this particular point, I'm not comfortable with the deal.
Does the table motion override my motion?
I was waiting on.
I made a motion before that.
I didn't hear you.
I'll second the motion to table.
Any discussion on tabling? Yes,
when he could be here.
Yeah.
I can find that out tomorrow. Yeah, let you know.
Find out when he can be
Sure, I will.
All right, any discussion on tabling? All right, roll call.
Wyden?
Aye.
Aye. Jackson?
Aye.
McMaster?
Aye.
Pepper?
No.
All right, the motion to table is approved 4-1, and we'll take that back up on the 16th.
Okay.
Resolution 25102, designation of investment interest in ARPA fund for Sportsplex.
Okay, again, and I did look up the number. That was $10,883,767 that we received in the state and local fiscal recovery funds. Again, the ARPA ruling, the final rule does not state how the interest has to be. If there's interest earned, investment interest earned, it does not, the same restrictions don't apply as far as the way that you have to spend it. We do need to purpose the revenue source, and since the Sportsplex needed some additional funding, that's why we suggested it.
I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I have not supported the Sportsplex project from the beginning. I still have concerns about traffic and everything, and many other things associated with it, but so I will not support this tonight.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Wyden?
Aye.
Aye. Jackson?
No.
McMaster?
Aye.
Pepper?
Aye.
Resolution 25102 is approved 4-1. Resolution 25103, approved community service contract with Delano Park Conservancy.
Again, that's just a mid-year appropriation for Delano Park Conservancy that you all had discussed.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Jackson. Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you, a few members here with us tonight. They do a great job. Personally, I think Delano is often underutilized, but y'all have managed to do a lot with a little, and so we appreciate the work that you do to keep the park up.
And I agree, and I don't know if Barbara, there's Barbara. This was always meant, you taught me this when back in the end of 2020, this was always meant to be a public-private partnership. I think it's even on some memorial thing you got out there, and Lynn Fowler would preach that. And so we're trying to do more of that to make sure we're playing a part in the public-private partnership of the park. So thank you all for, I don't think I drive by and don't see Barbara walking upstairs. So. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Wyden?
Aye.
Pike?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye.
McMaster?
Aye.
Pepper?
Aye.
Resolution 25103 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25104 approves sponsorship of Dia de los Muertos event.
Yes, we did this last year. It's just a $5,000 sponsorship from the general fund. It's a great cultural event that's held downtown. Everybody from the city's invited to come, and we just go ahead and ask for this so we can disperse the funds before the end of the year.
Motion by Mr. Jackson.
Second, sorry.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wyden?
Aye.
Aye.
Jackson? McMaster?
Aye.
Pepper?
Aye.
Resolution 25104 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25105 award bid 25025 to Thrive Outdoor for City Cemetery mowing, being the lowest responsible bidder.
Good evening. This is an annual contract renewal. It had been previously held by Thrive Outdoor. It was awarded around this time last year. They have an option to pick that up for 2 additional years. They elected not to. And so we bid this out again. On May 20th, we opened those bids. We had 5 bidders respond. And we're obviously recommending Thrive Outdoor as the lowest responsible bidder. I know there was a question from Mr. Pepper about performance. I touched base with Daniel Boutwell during the break, and he's not aware of anything that hadn't been resolved. In fact, in the contract, I think they have 48 hours to respond to a complaint. And he says, now, it may have been in 24, there may have been some issues, but this year he doesn't know. And he confirmed that with his managing staff as well as Thrive, and they're not aware of any ongoing issues that haven't been addressed.
That's my fault for not reaching out to Daniel. That is my fault. I did reach out to Thrive directly, but I did not reach out to Daniel.
Okay.
So that is my fault.
And then I would also add that, yes, L&L, I think there was a question, was the lowest bidder, but we had some internal reviews with our beautification manager, with Daniel, our environmental director, and also our CFO, and chose not to consider that vendor as responsible bidder due to some issues with other contracts in the past.
I'd just like to note that the calls have all, they just don't have ceased to my office regarding.
That was Daniel's understanding.
So moved. Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Jackson. McMaster.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25-105 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25-106. Move to table.
So moved. Second.
Motion to table by Mr. McMasters and a second by Mr. Pepper. Any questions or anything to add still? All right, any discussion? We have a motion and a second to table, I think 2 weeks. Yeah. All right, roll call. Aye.
Aye. Jackson.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 25-106 is tabled with a vote of 5-0 to the 16th. Resolution 25-107, approve the purchase of a narcotics K-9, including training, equipment, meals, and veterinarian care to be paid from the drug fund. George.
This dog is going to be assigned to the narcotics unit. It's going to be a black lab, and it will be used for a variety of other events as well. It's also replacing the dog that we retired, I guess this year, or late last year.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25-107 approved 5-0. Resolution 25-108 approved agreement for elevator maintenance at Decatur Municipal Parking Deck at Moulton Street, First Avenue.
This item is to approve an agreement with Schneider Plus for elevator maintenance at the parking deck, for the parking deck elevator, with an annual fee of $4,680.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike. Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion?
I'll simply say you guys don't expect me to support this, but I'm going to support this.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25-108 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25-109, AT&T letter of agreement with the City of Decatur for Shady Grove at Bunny Lane Southwest and Lily Lane Southwest.
This agreement's just to allow AT&T to remove existing poles for the Bunny Lane project with an estimated cost of $72,230, which has already been approved.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Are we getting close on this one? Yes. I know the utility costs.
Getting the utilities moved is a big thing. The plan has been done, so once we get all the utilities out of the way, we can probably go ahead and go out and bid for the road widening part.
Any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye. Jackson.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25-109 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25-110, Wisner Modus Road right-of-way acquisition proposal.
This item is to approve an agreement with Meisner to provide appraisal negotiations and project management for 40 tracks for right-of-way acquisition services for the Modus Road widening project.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Jackson. McMaster.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25-110 is approved 5-0. Carl, that'll basically once we get those right-of-way acquisitions, that project will be about ready to construct once we have the money.
Depending on the type of funding we use for that project, right now the plans are basically 90% complete. So once we get the right-of-way acquired, then yeah, we'll be pretty much ready to move forward.
Resolution 25-111, approve OMI second phase consulting work to Matthews.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Jackson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25-111 is approved 5-0. Resolution 25-112 has been removed. Resolution 25-113, federal grant application approval to construct Pryor Field taxiways for Northwest Hangar Development Phase 3. City is co-sponsored.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike. Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Resolution 25-113 approved 5-0. Next council work session will be held on June 9th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Next regular council meeting will be held on June 16th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Anything, Ms. Rochelle?
With Human Resources, just wanted to follow up on the planning director candidate. We did speak with him last week to make sure he was still interested. He's very interested. Just wanted to get some direction if we're ready to move forward or not.
What happened with Mr. Bowman?
He was not available the week that you all were available to interview.
I reached out to him too because we had a scheduled interview with him and then it went away.
Well, I put time on the calendar for y'all to hold it in the event he was available.
And then it moved. Apparently, it was originally you talked to him about Thursday, and then it moved back to Wednesday. And he had just said that he was a department head and needed time to kind of figure out when he could get his schedule ready. But he asked if he could do a Zoom meeting. He was told that he could not do a Zoom meeting. Is that accurate?
I'd have to check with the HR rep who discussed it with him, but we don't do Zoom meetings that I'm aware of for interviews. Happened since COVID.
But should that have been a decision for the council to?
I'm just learning that was an ask, so I'll follow up if this council wants to do that.
My concern is this. The person who we interviewed is good. Our former planner, who was a star because she was taken away from us by Huntsville. And then apparently someone took her away from Huntsville. But the thing is that she believes that this person, Mr. Bowman, is a star. And I do believe that whether he's better than the person we've interviewed or not, we owe him and we owe her because of her experience and her expertise that we should interview this person. And I understand that the gentleman is in a push and needs an answer. But I do think that we are citizens because we've gone so long without a planner that we interview this person and give this person, whether it's by Zoom or however we do it. I think that we need to interview a person who our former director thinks is a star. So.
We were around and lose this guy that really wants the job.
I'm going to agree with Mr. Mayor. I believe that we need to move forward with the candidate that we did interview. The city has been underserved without a planner for a very long period of time, and we've interviewed what is believed to be a fantastic candidate, including everybody on this dais has agreed that he's a great candidate, and he has the experience needed for this role. I did have concerns of my own during his interview, in which I put in my packet. However, at the end of the day, I do believe he's a fantastic candidate, and he has recommendations from people all across the U.S. that have given recommendations for this gentleman. I think we need to move forward with him. That way we do not lose this gentleman.
But nobody on this dais is a planner. Nobody on this dais is a planner. Our former director is a planner. And she seems to think that this guy's a star. And I think that we owe it to our citizens to at least give this guy an interview. Because, again, if someone's laying on out there who can serve the city better than the person who we already have that we've spoken to, then we need to get that person. If he's not as good as the previous person, then we should not.
I think we're not serving the citizens properly by making them wait even longer.
We've not had a planner since 2009.
And we have a candidate that you agree was a fantastic
candidate. But again,
so why not move forward with that
I'm not a planner and neither is you.
You're exactly right. I've never done it. But at the end of the day, you yourself agreed. You've been on the council for 30 years. You yourself agreed that this gentleman is exactly what we need. You said he's a great candidate.
I did.
So that's a pretty good recommendation for somebody that's on council longer than I've been alive. So I think
there have been times before when you did take my recommendation. So
he's about to not.
I know. So, but I do think that we've been without this person since 2009, or anyone in this position since 2009. For us to give a person an opportunity who is obviously a good candidate, who actually interviewed here as for a manager's position. And I think that we need to at least extend it and see what this guy has to say.
Could you give a little context? He interviewed as a manager. Obviously, that was before we created the director position. Could you give a little context into that process? Was he offered, not offered?
He was not offered. He withdrew himself from interest because his objective was to be a director, have a title as director at the time.
And he shared that with me, so that's accurate. That he said the description was that of a director, and that he was looking to be a director, not a manager. And I think that it was actually said that if he had come on as a manager, that there was a possibility that he might be a director within 6 months or so, and he was not comfortable with just taking that risk. So we do know that we have a qualified candidate. We do know that you guys would have offered him the manager's job had he not pulled out. But I think that the city deserves an opportunity to look at that person.
I do have some concerns about the timing with the candidate that we've interviewed. You've probably had conversation with him since then. Has there been any discussion? I guess as he kind of said, if I don't know by this date, I may withdraw, or is...
No, our conversation with him, you told us you were entertaining other offers. Where does that stand? He said, I am, but I want to come to the city of Decatur. I want to come to the south. I'm available and I'm ready to come. And I said, well, we'll
But
discuss.
the problem with that is the very minute that one other city jumps the gun and says, okay, well, the city of Decatur is offering him this, or potentially going to offer him this, we're out. And then what if we don't like the individual that Mr. Jackson is pushing that we interview? Well, then we're just in a whole circle of a mess again. So I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me for us not to pick a candidate that everybody, including the mayor on the dais, has agreed is a great candidate.
Yeah, I would say it's not to the level of, I think timing is not as much of an issue as it was when we decided to move forward with Chief Mack in a process that was sped up. But it is important, and I did call. I'm actually the only person I think that reached out to you about before we set interviews about actually interviewing Mr. Bowman. I had gotten one good reference and one I would say that wasn't good or bad. It wasn't negative, but it wasn't overly positive. Just connections with developers in Memphis or mainly Memphis. So I was open to interviewing him, and I think I was the only one that had reached out to say I wanted to interview him. And so when I learned I was the only one, we discussed up here who we wanted to interview, and it was Mr. Cross. So after Mr. Cross's interview and the two references I got, I will support moving forward with Mr. Cross tonight.
I can propose a resolution and then you can vote.
Why don't we poll who is in favor of moving forward with Mr. Cross as our candidate?
I'm in favor of moving forward with Mr. Cross.
1, 2. Mr. Pike.
I would be in favor of moving forward.
Jackson. Masters. Okay. I think we need to move forward with a negotiation and come back with a resolution to potentially hire him.
Well, actually, I would propose a resolution tonight if the council is willing to move forward tonight.
I'm okay with following our regular process unless anybody else wants to do something different.
If she has a resolution present, I'll make a motion on that resolution. I'll make a motion to approve that resolution.
Has this gone before the candidate?
The conditions would be agreeable with him, yes. He understands he does not have a formal offer. We said that the process.
Can I say the resolution?
Includes discussing with the council.
Do you need to say this for the motion?
Well, I have a copy. They just don't all have a number on here.
Motion for approval for the resolution that Ms. Salmon is presenting to the council.
Thank you.
I'd like to read it for anyone.
I'm sorry.
start the 23rd?
We can start the 23rd, yes.
Steph, do we have a resolution number?
25114.
Motion for approval.
We have a motion on resolution 25144 by Mr. Pepper.
114.
Is it 114?
114.
I'm sorry, 25114 by Mr. Pepper. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
I'll simply say I don't have a problem with Mr. Cross, but I do not think that we are putting ourselves in the best position to at least know that we've got the best candidate. So I will not support this tonight.
I'll make one other point. I see your point. I wanted, actually, I was the only one, before we scheduled interviews, that wanted to interview Mr. Bowman and called and got to references. We actually had other candidates when we moved forward with Chief Mack, and I'm glad we did this, that checked all the boxes of the requirements. But in my estimation, didn't come close to his resume and his background and what we saw in the interview and since the interview. I think that's also the case here, and I checked him out on my own, so that's why I've landed where I am. All right, any other discussion?
Do you vote?
What?
Do you vote?
Yeah, we are. Roll call. We have a motion in a second. Roll call. Aye.
Jackson.
No.
McMasters.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 25114 is approved 4-1. Anything else from directors, managers? All right, we will move into our public comment portion of the meeting. Rules are each speaker will have 3 minutes with 1 minute to wrap up. There will be no profanity, comments directed to the council only, no personal attacks, and no disruption from the audience. We'll go in order. We had one person sign in on the wrong sheet. We'll start with him, and that would be Mr. Al Stevens.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Point Mallard Golf Course. I've been a member of the Point Mallard Golf Course for about 15 years now. And unfortunately, it has deteriorated to the point that it has become, I believe, an embarrassment to the city of Decatur. I sent an email out last week. Mr. Ladner answered that email quite promptly, and I appreciate that answer. And since then, I have heard from several other individuals that I assume that this email was sent to. My concern seems to be that the responses that I have received indicate that the problems with the golf course have all happened this year. And that's certainly not the case. There's been a number of fairways closed for at least 2 years with no apparent action to do anything about those reopening. The Point Mallard Golf Course, I don't know what percentage of revenue it provides for the city of Decatur, but if we're going to keep it open, we need to make it a facility that people are glad that they've came to, rather than feel that it's a waste of money for them coming to. I know I've talked to several individuals that have been just very disappointed after coming and playing on the golf course. It's been expressed to me by more than one individual in the city, people that we play with all the time, that it's just constantly getting worse. I played golf today. There was more activity on the golf course today than I have seen, I think, in the last 3 years. So what I would like to do is what I guess I'm asking is, Is there a plan in place to bring the course back to where it used to be?
Yeah, I'll answer that, say similar to what I told you in the email I sent. We passed a few months ago, basically a fee that goes along with activities at Point Mallard when you buy and add $2. I can't remember what it was, I want to say $2 or something. The problem has been, in my opinion, throughout the history of the city, we don't have a way, we're not capturing revenue to just go back into Point Mallard's facilities. So we've added that recently, which can help with debt service payments if we had a big project and need to go to the bond market. The issue with the golf course, and no golf courses make money. I worked at Robert Trent Jones, RSA. There's a reason the general fund budget from the state's writing a check to RSA every year for millions of dollars. It's not a great investment, no matter what everybody seems to think. But golf courses don't make a lot of money. The issue at our golf course has been there's no working, as far as I know, irrigation in the fairways. There is on the greens. The greens have not been redone in
21 years.
And forever. So anybody, you know that when you have to play and people are walking on it and pulling a cart on it and whatever, you've got to eventually redo it. So all this stuff is expensive. But I do think you are right. We either need to invest in the golf course or not have it. And I think we need to invest in it. And I think, that would be my recommendation is we find a way to start with the irrigation. Once you get the irrigation in, you can replace sod. Once you get that done, you got to redo the greens. But there is a plan in place. The good news for you is our CFO played college golf and he rode around out there about a month ago and saw some opportunities for us to be better. So I would say there is a plan in place. It'll be probably mostly for the next administration that starts in 5 months to address how they'll do that, but that's on the radar for sure, at the top of the list.
Hopefully you'll see some efforts over the coming weeks. We're trying to make improvements there, of course.
Well, and again, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the work that I've seen done today or was in process today. However, it seems, and I am not a professional landscaper by any means, I will say this, that I tried putting cart path only signs by the bare patches in my backyard, and it never grew any grass either. So there's things that can be done to the fairways short of resodding. And I just...
Water is an important one.
Water is an important thing. I agree. And we're right alongside the Tennessee River. Water should not be an issue.
The issue with the irrigation has been the pumps and the mussels that are grown in there.
Okay.
Not to be pessimistic, but we do have the wettest month we've had.
Yes, sir, we have. And again, and that was brought forth in the emails, some of the emails that I replied to me. But I think, again, that reflects, that's attempting to blame, I believe.
4 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
All right, Tommy Elliott.
Good evening. How many of y'all familiar with the preamble to the Constitution? That's what I thought. It says that we are the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union and to establish justice. The city of Decatur having a problem with justice. I should have spoken earlier, but everybody was speaking about justice. It never was implemented, as if you all didn't really care. So that was my number one of my concern. Where's the justice? It said, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general to officers. You haven't done it. You ignored our rights as far as justice is concerned. Now, other parties too. I remember when the mayor served his first term, boy, he walked out through the community, walking, he was sweating, and he was really protesting. Done a pretty good job the first year. well, you've done a pretty good job. You're doing okay. But what my problem is, you said you were going to be the mayor for the people, and you didn't do a good job. You walked out on us several times. You failed to, boy, you just didn't do a good job. The Bible says, do good and communicate and consider yourselves. That's what it says. So I'm just letting you know that you done, on a 1 to 10, you might have done 2. So I just want you to let you know that justice wasn't served. And I'm for justice. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white, police department, or on the welfare. Justice for all.
Have you made a decision about the work session's ability for us to make comments?
It'll be the same as I said at the last meeting.
Which is?
There will not be.
Okay, that's great. The SRO thing was taken off the agenda for the second time. Why?
I think there's just ongoing discussions with the school system about making it better.
Okay, it has nothing to do with cost.
I don't know.
No, it has nothing to do with cost. It has to do with trying to make sure everybody that needs to give input is allowed to do that, but it has nothing to do with cost.
So when Nate signed that original MOU that was in previous agenda, no one had gone over this yet?
There were just questions.
He had some questions. The MOU has changed since that was signed. That was, the council had not approved it. He was just showing that he was okay with it at that point. But he has since then made some suggested changes, which has been incorporated. We talked to the school systems representative, and they are fine with us delaying it to get further evaluation.
Okay.
It has nothing to do, your question was, it has anything to do with cost? It does not. Okay?
Well, it's, at minimum, it's going to be at least $530,000 for the SRO program over the course of a year. And that's minimum, meaning the 7 officers at base pay for an officer. As I looked at some pictures of the officers currently filling those billets, they're getting paid captain's pay in some cases, in addition to the 1 lieutenant who's supposed to supervise them. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money and resources being spent for a program that I'm assuming y'all want, but at the same time frame hasn't shown what's the value added in this program.
You're just way wrong on this.
Tell me.
You want to keep going down this.
Tell me how.
That you are arguing against SROs in our schools and that there's a cost issue. Have at it, man. But I disagree with you in every sense of what you're arguing. And so I hope that everybody else up here and every person that will run for office.
Okay.
because
I'm not saying.
You're totally wrong.
Can I speak now?
What's your suggestion and what we do?
Mr. Ladner just asked that I could speak, so please calm down, Mr. Hunter Pepper.
Do you not suggest that
My
we protect our kids?
concern.
Is that your suggestion? Because you're worried about the funding portion of it. I say that we spend every dollar we can to protect the kids in our community.
Okay.
But clearly, you have an issue with that.
My understanding is that we have limited funds to run this city. My understanding is the chief of this police department has over $20,000 to manage that money, to manage that resource for the city. I understand there's a possibility of using additional resources, including Decatur City Schools, which we pay $1.4 million per month, could be used to expend to pay for some of these SROs. Not saying the SRO program is bad or needs to be diminished. What I'm saying is look at alternate resources and ability to negotiate so the chief isn't spending 8 bodies at over $500,000.
You're fighting a losing battle.
Well, Mr. Ladner, that was been negotiated for years, but the school system is everybody knows, I thought, they're paying half of this.
Yeah.
Half of it's coming out of city school system. Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's understood.
Yeah, you're finished. Thank you.
No, my time's not up yet.
You're
I didn't hear it go.
You walked out of the room. You're done. Next is Mike Stovall.
See you, Mr. Perky. How we going?
I will see you.
Oh. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Well, I would like to thank the council for all your hard work that you've done on getting Chief Mack hired. It wouldn't have been done without you all. So I thank you all. We thank you all. And we know that today is a brand new day in the city of Decatur. Today is a great day in the city of Decatur. And today is a day of change in the city of Decatur. And we're just grateful for this change. And we're grateful that we're going to be able to stand with Chief Mack and be able to stand and as he lead and guide our police department. We're just grateful for that. And we have more work to do because we're still looking for justice. As the gentleman was saying, we're still going to be standing for justice, but we're going to also stand with our chief and his officers as well. And what the community wants you all to learn and know that just as well as we can turn it off, we can turn it right back on too. So don't try to play us in any kind of way. Just know that we're standing for justice and we're standing for change in this city. Change is more than just them saying that Beta Marquette's going to prison. It's more than just getting a new chief police. We have to tear down an old system that has haunted this place so that we can move forward, so that we can so that Decatur will be for everybody and not just for one group of people, the have or the have-nots. Thank you.
Jeff Fleming.
I don't have anything, sir. I think I misunderstood this.
You're good. It happens. Yeah. Sharonda Acton.
Hello. So I guess I want to start off talking to you, Tab. Are you staying today for optics? You've got up and left during public comment for the past 18 months, and then today we appoint a new chief of police, and look who's here. So is this an optic, just a moment for pictures?
It's an opportunity for a reset, a new start.
That's what I hope to hear. So I hope to see you here for the remainder of the time that you're mayor.
I don't know if I will be or not.
Of course.
In the angle that you want right now, I will not.
Exactly. So again, it is for optics.
No, that's what I said.
Hunter, are you running again?
I have not made the determination yet.
Pike, are you running again?
I've already announced.
You've announced, so the only person we're waiting on is you, right?
That would be correct.
We hope you don't. Nonetheless, what was the initial purpose of Ingalls Harbor when it was built?
Basically, there's two doors on each end. It's for fishing tournaments to do weigh-ins and stuff like that.
How often is it used for that?
I don't
I think originally it was used a lot. I can't say most fishing tournaments now actually have their own setup. They prefer to pull up.
It probably has not been used for a weigh-in in many years.
All right.
Like the park in general, the pavilion itself as well.
Just some of it.
Just the pavilion, okay. If it was private, the park itself would be private for it.
Okay, I think that today's ceremony was amazing. You know, as stated, we are elated to welcome Chief Tory Mack and his family to the city of Decatur. Hopefully he can show some people what leadership looks like. The only complaint that I can have is that if we're going to use Ingalls Harbor for such a major event, then what is the process to look into getting air conditioning there?
You actually, the structure itself would be very difficult. You'd probably have to replace the whole roof structure, but you know, we're in the process at the old ice rink of turning it into an event center. It would be larger. I think similar, a little bit bigger. It'll be heated and cooled, have a commercial grade kitchen, breakout rooms. It'd be much better suited for a large event.
Terrific.
Very difficult to HVAC.
Gotcha. I just feel like it's a lot of places here in Decatur that we could use today to avoid everyone being as hot without any type of water or beverages or anything. So that was poorly planned on someone's part. Yeah, probably yours, right?
Well, we're going to do that.
Okay, yeah, definitely will. Okay, and so then the next thing, I just noticed last night when I was driving down 6th Avenue from the intersection where Walgreens is, McDonald's. From there past Gordon Terry, the lights are out on the right-hand side. And so it seemed like we got a problem with keeping lights on. Is there a reason? Or were you all aware?
What are you talking about again, ma'am?
Gordon Terry's, you're talking about on 6th Avenue.
Correct.
From Walgreens to Gordon.
From 8th to Gordon.
8th, yeah.
Yeah, on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, they're out, but then once you get to Gordon Terry, there are two that are on the left side of Gordon Drive. So,
I wasn't aware of the actual.
Which side?
are you listening? I said that when you come down, right, but you can't do two things at once. I know. So, when you're coming down 6th Avenue at the intersection of Walgreens and McDonald's going towards the bridge, from that intersection to Gordon Drive on the right-hand side, the lights are not working. On the left-hand side, the lights are not working until you actually get to Gordon Drive. Okay. All right. That's it. Justice for Steve.
Thanks. Council, anything else? Oh, sorry, is Justin Shepherd here? We'll stand adjourned. Thanks.